Hi everybody, Peter Greenberg here. When it comes to adventure travel, that's one of the most misunderstood terms ever. It's either going to intimidate you or encourage you to do something you shouldn't be doing, or you want bragging rights and do something even crazier, or actually you're going to have a lot of fun. So it gets down to what you have to figure out to be a mutually agreeable definition of terms. And here to help us sort of navigate that maze is adventure travel expert, our own Indiana Jane, if you will, Kelly McMillan. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, Peter.
I mean, let's get down to that definition of adventure travel, because to me, people say like, soft adventure, there's thrill-seeking behavior, there's pushing the envelope. That can be very intimidating to people.
To me, adventure travel means anything where you get more meat out of an experience. So that could be cooking classes in Thailand, that could be making your own wine in Napa, that could be heli skiing with Micah Heli tours in Canada, rock climbing, ice climbing, or, it could be sailing in the Greek islands.
So bottom line is you do have to come up with a mutually agreeable definition of terms with the operator so you don't take yourself out of your own comfort zone or your own level of physical ability.
Exactly. I think you have to define what the boundaries are, whether they're physical, whether they're dietary, whether they're, how far you're willing to push the boundary, what kind of experience you want, what kind of adventure. An adventure could be, like I just said, a culinary adventure. Or it could be, a physical adventure, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro, but just be very clear about what kind of adventure you want.
And not only that, when people talk about just like skiing, because you write for Skiing Magazine,
Yep.
I want to go skiing or adventure skiing, that could mean so many different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
It could mean the Black Diamonds, or as you mentioned, heli skiing, where you're taking way up and you're going down uncharted territory, really, right?
Mm-hmm. There's places like at Micah Heli skiing, as I just mentioned, where you can name your own run, which to me is really neat. But on the other end of the spectrum, you have something...
That would be called the Peter Greenberg Not Coming Back Death Run.
Oh, yeah. Really?
Well, yeah, because I wouldn't do it. Because I had basically got my definition of terms down, realizing that's beyond my level. I'm not going to kill myself.
Well, what are you willing to do?
You know what?
Yeah.
My idea of adventure travel is where I can be in a little bit more of control, right? I can still push the envelope, but I'm still in a little control. So whether it's snowshoeing or cross country, we're just talking skiing now, or snowmobiling, or even some sort of moderate tobogganing or sledding. Well, when it gets down to tobogganing, there's no such thing as like moderate tobogganing for me. It's you're either going to injure yourself or you're not. But I guess, okay, so that's what I'm willing to do. But, there's the word hiking. That has so many different meanings. There's hiking to Machu Picchu, that's a 3-day hike. Mm-hmm. Or there's hiking around Central Park in New York. Mm-hmm. Why are you laughing about that? I like that hike around Central Park.
I agree. I have a good example for you. Like with safari, you can either have a very armchair luxe safari at some place like Lion Sands or Landalozi, where you're driven around in a vehicle in South Africa and, very safe. Or you can go to some place like Zambia with Robin Pope or Norman Carr and do a walking safari where you're on the ground in the bush, experiencing the sights and sounds of the bush, the African bush, and it's a safari, but it's a totally different experience, and you have two very different levels of control.
So from a basic perspective, is it sedentary? Am I sitting down, or am I physically active to do that experience?
Right, and how much it's sort of, do you want to lean in or a lean back experience? Do you want, how engaged do you want to be? And it depends on your view of vacation. Some people just want to unplug it, tune out, lay back. Some people, want these experiences. I find more and more it's these experiential travel experiences that are really popular right now, where people really want to kind of get more meat out of a destination.
But then the mistake that so many people make is they perceive themselves to be actually more physically capable than they are.
Yeah.
I remember when my mom was 80 years old, I wanted to send her on a cruise. And she said, I don't want to be on a ship with a lot of old people. And she perceived it to be beneath her because she perceived herself to be much more physically active. And by the way, she was. And good for her. I guess you really have to be clear about what you're willing to push yourself to.
I think also what your options for getting out are. Like, for example, my dad went on a big bike trip for his honeymoon in Tuscany, Butterfield and Robinson. They would, bike up and down through Tuscany all day, in the morning have a nice lunch, and then in the afternoon bike more. Well, my dad liked the biking in the morning bit, but after, you know, a couple glasses of wine and a big bowl of pasta for lunch, you know.
He was ready for the nap, but he was done.
Yeah, he would just hop in the van, and his wife would just, you know.
But he had the options.
Exactly.
That's the real key. I always say it's the real key of luxury travel is when you get to keep your options open. I'm taking that back. It's the real key to adventure travel when you get to keep your options open.
Yes, and when there's, I think that's kind of the risk level also, is having an option out. Like, the riskier it is, the less options there are to get out of the experience. That's how you can kind of gauge risk.
Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about, we were talking about skiing before, but now let's bring in, especially in terms of adventure, family ski trips.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, everybody has a different approach to that because everybody has different levels of ability. They have different attention spans. They have different sleeping patterns half the time. I mean, I take a look at families that come back from skiing trips and they're not even talking to each other anymore.
Yeah, it's a pretty intimate experience. It's, you know, it's like one of those things, like, you can't teach your wife or your partner or your boyfriend how to ski or play tennis, you know, it just doesn't work. It's sort of a deal breaker. But I have to say, I think many of the resorts in the States particularly are catering to the whole family really well. Like, Beaver Creek has a whole slew of complimentary family activities, from, like, you know, free ice skating, fireworks shows, skiing down the mountain with glow sticks. There's so many deals for families. In Aspen, during March and April, kids ski and stay for free. In Telluride, on American Airlines,
The kids fly for free.
Yeah. Which is just, it's amazing. And then in terms of family activities, you also, but a lot of the hotels, like the Hyatt in Beaver Creek, they have a whole family program where, you know, some of the days spent skiing, some of the days arts and crafts, you know, making snow paintings. So,
and the cool thing is, if you're the parent, you can either be actively involved in that activity with your kids or let them do it on their own.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Skiing vacations are great for that because you can stick your kid in ski school for half a day, a full day, go have some time with your husband, partner, friends, whatever, and then you come back. Your child's tired, which can be a good thing because they'll go to sleep, but you've had some time to enjoy the experience on your own.
So sometimes you don't have to have the time out on the mountain.
No. But, you know, this is actually a good tip, is you want to make sure when you're skiing with the kids that they get a little snack throughout the day, because kids tend to just ski and not eat and say they're not hungry, and then at the end of the day you have a child with very low blood sugar and they have a complete meltdown, and I think that's kind of when the families start coming home not talking to each other. So just make sure your child gets, like, little string cheese, peanut butter and jelly, granola bars all throughout the day.
By the way, speaking of the meltdowns, that works for the adults as well.
It's true, and that's actually a good segue into high altitude sickness.
Ooh.
It's a real deal. People do, especially if you're coming from California, where we are, you know, at sea level, and then you go straight up to someplace like Telluride, that's 8,750. That's their altitude. You need to drink lots of water. You need to eat properly. You need to, it helps if you spend a night or two in Denver just to kind of help with the elevation increase. But water. And then, I think I've shared this tip with you before, Viagra.
What?
Viagra is good for high altitude sickness.
So that's my excuse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm feeling a little heady right now. I think I need some.
Yeah.
I'm at sea level.
And it's a no shame excuse to get a prescription.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Because not like I would know, but it helps dilate those capillaries. They're really important.
Not that she would know. Okay, fine.
I heard from the doctor for the Rolling Stones, Dr. Hackett.
They've been doing Viagra for years just to be able to get on the stage. I think.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a gig he has. He is the premier high altitude specialist in the world. And the Rolling Stones were going to play Mexico City, and they wanted a specialist, a high altitude specialist, and so they called him, and now he's their tour doctor.
Sure, he shows up with a bag full of Viagra. They're golden, baby.
Yeah, they love him.
All right.
Yeah, that's probably how he cinched the
Jumpin'
deal.
Jack Flash has a whole new meaning.
Exactly.
All right. Kelly McMillan, thank you for joining us. There's adventure travel in a whole new light.